Dell Technologies continue to innovate and deliver new solutions for the customers as we fully accelerate to meet the cloud era. We have with us Bijoy, who is the Director Sales, Data Center and Networking Business, India Region, Dell Technologies, to talk about the same. Over to you.
Hello everyone, welcome to the session. My name is Bijoy Anthony Thikekara and I represent Dell Technologies. I'm responsible for the networking business for the India region. When one talks about networks, clearly the vertical that has been as a forerunner and has been a pioneer in implementing some of the largest networks across the length and breadth of this country is probably the banking and finance vertical. And I have been very privileged to have been associated over the last 2 decades on 2 very interesting inflection points that this industry went through from a network standpoint. One was clearly post the Y2K, wherein the end customers like yourself were really trying to get some of the basic networks and services for your end customers. And somewhere in mid 2000 came the core banking wave, and that's when you kind of relooked at deploying on those days, the new age networks at that point in time. But do bear in mind, today we are in 2020, and just think about it, right? Today, as we stand in 2020, we possibly are still running 21st century applications on 20th century networks. Something to ponder, right? Right? So the next 15 odd minutes, I'm going to really talk about how do you simplify scale with the new age Dell software defined wide area network. Now, simplify and scale are possibly 2 ends of the spectrum, right? How does one kind of really converge that with Dell SD WAN is what I'll try and cover in the next 15 odd minutes. What's next? What's in store? I'm going to quickly dwell through some of the industry landscape and the current challenges which customers like you are facing. Why is SD WAN so disruptive and imperative to meet today's business demands? And then a very sneak preview in terms of what does Dell kind of really offer in the SD WAN space for customers like you. If you look at the legacy world, legacy networks across the terrain in your patch or in your territory or in your scenarios, clearly the network was really spread in the way this slide deck kind of depicts, right? We had a data center, we had the regional hub and campus, we had some remote branches, and clearly there were distinct teams which led apps, which IT operations, and there was obviously a disaster recovery to make sure that the business continuity was maintained. But the networks of today, as the slide depicts, has kind of evolved, right? Today you have a private wider network, you have the public internet, a very critical element in today's business, and then you obviously continue to have the regional hub and campuses, and then you have a huge workforce, right? A huge workforce of remote branch offices and customers and everything, working on the mobile side as well, right? And then you have the cloud, right, which is clearly hosting a lot of the other applications, and you continue to have your data center, the global ops, and then the DR as well. So clearly the contours of the network today have changed, right? What are some of the WAN challenges or the wide area network challenges that customers like you are facing? There is an increasing support that is required for some of the cloud applications. And needless to say, the backhauling and the costs that are attached to service providers are extremely expensive, right? And they are definitely something which are inhibiting the wider networks or pulling the networks down in terms of cost, right? The WAN networks of today are very, very complex, right? There are multiple routing protocols. There are multiple softwares that kind of need to be run to kind of manage this as well. The real estate in itself, right? The whole fact that today you have a router, you have a firewall, you have WAN optimization, you have multiple OSs makes it extremely complicated. Lack of automation, a big deterrent to wider networks today. Clearly, there are multiple manual configurations, device by device changes that one needs to do, which really clearly impacts the time to market for customers like you. Costs, Costs in terms of infrastructure, in terms of support, in terms of personnel, in terms of connectivity, and all kinds of delays, right? So clearly these have been, I would say, the top 5 odd challenges that customers like you have been facing for almost 2 decades together, right? At a very conceptual level, what is software-defined area network, right? It's basically, it's how you virtualize your wide area network, right? To make sure that you have absolute simplicity and visibility. You also have an ubiquitous, assured application performance, right? Across, for your entire applications running across. And also you're able to manage, right? On the ramp onto the cloud on the fly, which means that you can really look at expanding and growing as by you need. And most importantly, how do you kind of optimize your costs, right? Which can be to the tune of almost 75% in terms of wider network costs, right? So this software defined is really about simplicity, assured application performance. How do you manage expansions on the ramp? And most importantly, how do you bring in cost? There are a lot of statistics which kind of keep, sharing the fact that as early as 2021, the share between a traditional router and an SD WAN is going to be extremely skewed. In fact, a lot of the analysts have actually almost predicted that routers, or the conventional routers, so to say, will really become very extinct. So who are and why is the time today for SD WAN? Clearly, customers like yourself who possibly are moving to cloud-based applications, are ideal customers for SD WAN. Also, today it's all about cloud first, and kind of deploying things on the cloud first, and making sure that your end customers have a seamless experience, user experience in terms of whether they're using apps on the cloud or whether they're using it on-prem as well. So clearly, those are the customers who really are target audience for software-defined wide area network. And then today, a lot of you customers are looking at either revamping their existing real estate, or are also looking at renewing contracts with the service provider for the existing fleet of routers, right? So clearly, you must look at SD WAN as a very, very credible alternative, at this point in time, right? This slide is clearly talking about some of the cost savings that one can get in. Whilst I know it's very illustrative and it's kind of captured in USD, but we do have customized ROI models which can really build up a solid ROI calculator which factors into or takes into account the people, the bandwidth, the charges, the recurring charges, and all of that, and power, right? Power in itself is a big ticket that kind of impacts us very subtly. The point I'm really trying to drive is that if we were to look at the ROI model for SD WAN, clearly, the savings are in excess of 75% when compared to the legacy world of wider networks, right? The next 3 slides, and 3 or 4 slides, I promise you I won't get into really too much of technology, speeds and feeds, but really at a very holistic level, what does Dell and VMware, which is really the software piece of what we have showcased on the SD-WAN's arena, in terms of the solution, right? So clear 8 differentiators. And these are the 8 differentiators that only VMware gets to you in the marketplace. Bring your own bandwidth, your link performance remediation, your dynamic load sharing, application awareness, monitoring and report, brownout detection, remediation, and business policy routing, right? So clearly, these are some of the unique strengths that VMware as a software bring on to the SD-WAN side, right? Now, what is Dell's play? Whilst VMware continues to be clearly the, I would say, the software or the heart of the solution, the Dell device or the SD-WAN device has 3 distinct flavors, or I would say 3 distinct unique propositions that we offer. We have devices powered, co-engineered by Dell and Intel, which can host your VeloCloud stroke VMware software inbuilt to deliver SD-WAN capabilities. So we have a product line which kind of clearly meets for customers or meets the need of customers who need to deploy Velo Cloud day one, ground zero, coded with factory fitted on Dell bare metal hardware. And that's the SD-WAN edge appliance that we have. On the right hand side, we have what we call as the VP boxes, which can today come factory fitted with either Velo or with Level, the software of your choice. So clearly two distinct, I would say, route to markets and flexibilities that we offer to end customers like you, right? And what if I were now to really now expand on what we believe is possibly the long-term benefits of having SD-WAN. One of the biggest testimonials of embracing SD-WAN is the fact that today telcos across globally are currently now talking of managed SD-WAN as a service. And to cater to those needs, we have built something what is called in our world a universal CP. Now, what is a universal CP? If you look at the left-hand side, you can typically see what we see in networks today. You have a firewall, you have a router, you possibly have an OS, you have a WAN optimization engine, right? Now, what if I give you an universal CP, right, which gives you the flexibility of running any hypervisor that you may want of your choice, whether it's an ADWA, whether it's a KVM, whether it's an OpenStack, and then give you the flexibility of running an SD-WAN VM or a security VM for a firewall, a routing, a WAN optimization and acceleration, a DPI or a file media. So just imagine the power of this device of a universal CP that we can potentially give to you. And as we stand and as we speak today, these are the multiple VMs that can run on the Dell Universal CP. So clearly, this is a huge value proposition for customers who are looking at managed services, SD-WAN, in terms of their go-to-market and in terms of the deployment as well, right? So three distinct tracks. You can use Dell hardware for Velo. You can use Dell hardware for Versa or Level or any other, I would say SD-WAN software that you would want. Or in case you would want to have a completely open architecture using a universal CP through a telco, the Dell hardware is clearly, ready today to kind of take care of any of some of the industry-leading VMs and technologies that one can talk about, right? Now, what are some of the disruptions that are happening? The pandemic has obviously, thrown open a wide set of challenges for industry and technology companies like us. And as we speak today, the network is really where the people are. Today, it's not about, we are just not able to make it to office, right? And we possibly are making it to office, I would say gradually in phases. And, it's definitely going to take some time when we are full throttle to possibly. So clearly the network is where the people are. And these are some of the use cases, either in insurance or healthcare, where SD-WAN has been really deployed, right? To make sure that there is business continuity, the networks are where the people are, and clearly, the critical workforce that potentially needs to operate from home today have a seamless connectivity to their enterprise intranet with all the apps to make sure that, they're able to meet the demands of the internal stroke external stakeholders, right? And one of the best live examples that Dell in itself can talk about is the network or the worldwide network of Dell Technologies itself today is completely running on Dell SD-WAN, right? Which clearly means that we are consuming our own technology, which we are talking to customers like you. Our entire network spread over 80 odd countries today is completely running on Dell software-defined wide area networks, right, on the platform, right, which clearly demonstrate the capability, the scalability that this technology offers. And today, I would say almost 90% of our workforce is clearly operating from home, right? So this speaks volumes about the capabilities of the software-defined network as an architecture in itself, and also the combined value proposition that Dell and VMware bring to the fore to customers like you, right? Want to quickly summarize, why would you want to partner with Dell and VMware? Clearly, in the recent times, thanks to the support of customers and partners like yourself, we have been able to demonstrate our leadership position when it comes to compute, storage, data protection, and also on the consumer side of the house, right? Clearly, with that being the strength that we inherently have, and with VMware today recognized by leading consulting organizations like Gartner, 2 years consecutive in a row, they have been identified as the number two, I would say, the leader for 2 years, in the leadership quadrant, right? So this is a big testimony, right, for VMware, that 2 years in a row, Gartner has clearly made sure that they have been called out that VMware has the capability and has demonstrated the capability to deliver to customers like you. Now, specific to India and to some other geographies, wherein we have a lot of, I would say, regulatory and statutory requirements, we have also made sure that we have invested to give on-prem capabilities on the VMware side of the house. So today we have the India VCO, or the virtual cloud orchestrator, which is hosted in India, to make sure that the customers which might need on-prem regulatory requirements, we can cater to it. And as we speak, there are multiples of banking finance customers who are kind of hopped on to the India VCO story, and we are in the process of implementing them, for networks across multiple hundred branches in India today as well, right? And the entire SD WAN portfolio for Dell is backed by the global technical assistance center and by the nationwide support that Dell offers, and it's completely unparalleled. Today, if there is one technical organization that can map up to any number of pin codes in this vast geography of India, it's Dell, right? So clearly the power of Dell Logistics, Dell Support, Dell Worldwide Technical Assistance Center, backed by VMware's leadership quadrant in Gartner, is clearly a very, very strong proposition that we bring. And I don't have to be very vocal about it, but both Dell and VMware are part of the overall Dell umbrella and Dell, I would say, family of companies as well. There is obviously the flexibility. A lot of you in this forum today are either transacting with Dell directly or with our partners. So clearly the ease of doing business, which Dell has been synonymous with this, for years together, is something that we bring onto the table. And something which is very imperative, and something which is very, I would say, the need of the hour is, can we drive some innovative finance models, right? Keeping in mind the pandemic around, keeping around some of the challenges that customers and the larger ecosystem have in terms of cash flow. So there is a good amount of innovation that Dell Financial Services has brought about for the India region, which we intend to kind of showcase as well. So that's it from my side. I hope it was a crisp and a very overall view in terms of what Dell and VMware bring on to the SD-WAN space. Thank you so much. Really appreciate this time. Do stay safe, and I would like to leave with a very optimistic note that let's unlock the power of the network using Dell SD-WAN. Thank you.
Feel free to visit our partner booth for any information on such relevant topic. No harm in dropping by and saying hi to our experts. They will be happy to connect with you. So do share your feedback about the session at the end, and we will be looking forward to interact with you on social media using the hashtag ETBFSI Converge. Stay with us.